Dillian the Body Snatcher right here. It's a champ. Big up to Sporting Icon. Subscribe. Otherwise, I might pay you guys a visit.
Now, one of the many things that I like about American boxing when it comes to their pay-per-views is that the platforms do, for the most part, put out the numbers that fight nights, pay-per-view nights do, such as ESPN, Showtime, Fox. They will release the numbers to show fans how well or badly a certain fight night did. Okay, here in the UK, we don't do that. We don't really find out numbers until about a year or two later, for the most part. Okay, now one thing that they didn't do though was release the numbers for Tyson Fury versus Dillian Whyte, the ESPN US side pay-per-views. Okay, the BT Sport ones here in the UK, we ain't gonna know about that one. Okay, but I'll touch on that in a second. Now, I put out a tweet, if you like, on social media saying, hey, does anybody know what the numbers were for ESPN for Tyson Fury versus Dillian Whyte, as they haven't released anything. Now, automatically, one of the reasons why I know they haven't released anything is because clearly they didn't do as well as they wanted, which is why they haven't released numbers for certain other fights, not just ESPN, but Showtime, Fox, whatever, okay? They haven't really been releasing some numbers lately because they've been bombing. So I put out one where I heard that Fury Whyte done around 350,000 in the US, but of course I can't confirm that. So I put out a tweet and I copied in Rick Glaser and Mike Coppinger and that. I wanted some kind of feedback. Does anybody know what the numbers were? Rick Glaser responded to me and said it was just over 40,000 pay-per-views in America. So ESPN, 40,000. That sucks, to be honest with you. I'm a big Dillian Whyte fan, okay? And I expected it to do in the region of 100,000. That's what I expected. Now, for those of you who don't know who Rick Glaser is, he's a guy who is prolific with his numbers, okay? He gets the inside information that nobody else gets. And usually when he puts it out, an official one will come out from Showtime, ESPN, Fox, wherever it may be, and they pretty much mirror what it is that Rick Glaser puts out. He responded to me just over 40,000. So when he tells me 40,000, it's 40,000, okay? You can take that to the bank, or just over 40,000. So how does that equate to Frank Warren clawing back his 41 million that he has invested in just the main event? Well, the price in America was it around about, what, $85? So 40,000, that'd be around about $3.5 million. Okay, so $3.5 million contributed towards the 4.1 million. Not all of it, of course, ESPN, they're going to take some money out of that. Bob Arum and that will be as well, and whoever else, okay? Frank Warren will get whatever's left over. So that would mean that Frank Warren, just on the main event, would have to break the UK record to claw back the remaining money of over 1.5 million pay-per-view buys in order to just balance the books of just the main event of 41 million. Let's not forget, he had to pay out money to hire out the stadium. That ain't cheap. The undercard, as crap as what it was, it still cost him some kind of money. The security and all the other kind of trimmings, okay? So it's over 41 million that they have to try and claw back. Now, granted, Frank Warren, of course, he will get a lump of the attendance. Of course, listen, Wembley get a good cut of that, and so do sponsors and whatever else now as well, okay? But he will get a chunk of the attendance, plus he will get a chunk of the sponsorships and that as well. Now, as we all know, the attendance is only going to cover a portion of what it is that they really want. The most important part is the pay-per-views. So you can quite safely presume that Fury and Dillian Whyte had to do around about 1 million pay-per-view buys just for Frank Warren to break even. You would presume so, okay? Ideally, break the record to definitely balance the books. With the fact that ESPN only managed to draw in over 40,000 is not good. That's a major, major flop. Now, Bob Arum, he said a little while ago that the $100 million that they gave Tyson Fury for 5 fights, they are well in the red on it. They haven't made their money back. So this final fight was shit or bust for them, really, wasn't it? It really was. Because obviously the 5 fights, 2 fights with Wilder, Dillian Whyte, Tom Schwartz, Otto Wallin. He hasn't made that 100 million back. He hasn't. So I mean, I would imagine that ESPN will be rapping the knuckles of a Bob Arum over that one, no doubt, no doubt. But 40,000 is a major, major flop. Now, this shows that what I've been saying for quite some time, and even though Tyson Fury, even before the Dillian Whyte fight, was saying how he considers himself a US citizen, he's got a home in America, and if America ever went to war, he'd be like the first in line to help defend the country and all that kind of stuff. Listen, we all knew why he was saying that, because he wanted to try and draw up the pay-per-view buys. But reality is, people in America didn't fall for it. Well, 40,000 people did, which is quite a lot, I suppose. But as pay-per-view numbers go, no, not at all. That was a major, major flop. It was. And that sucks, because as I said, I expected that to do over 100,000 pay-per-view buys. I did. In America alone. I was way off on that one. Cool, I can hold my hands up on that one. And I was hoping that it was going to break the record here in the UK on BT Sport. If it had broke the record, even though BT Sport and Sky Sports and whatever else don't talk about numbers, break the record, they're putting out a statement. Frank Warren will sing like Tweety Pie. He'll be like a canary, singing how he broke the UK record for a pay-per-view for a boxing event. He will be doing that. He hasn't done that. Do you know why? Because it didn't break the record, quite clearly. Even if it had done 1 million pay-per-view buys, he'd be singing like a canary. But he hasn't. So that would lead me to suspect that maybe he may have just broke even, or he's way behind. Way behind. Which is what I think is probably happened there. I think he's way, way behind. Now, we could say, but yeah, BT Sport, they don't really put out any kind of numbers in that anyway, and Frank Warren, he won't have permission. Well, Sky Sports don't put out numbers either. But because Amir Khan and Kell Brook done better than projected, where they went over 500,000 pay-per-view buys here in the UK, they put out the numbers. They don't usually do that. But when a platform does well, they will. That would tell me BT Sport didn't. Which is a little bit worrying. So quite how Frank Warren's going to pay for all of this, I have absolutely no idea. I mean, how much of that money did ESPN Top Rank give him to contribute? Did they get their money back, considering they only made about 3.4 or 3.5 million on the pay-per-view? Again, let's not forget the hiring of the stadium, the undercards, the security, all the other kind of trimmings, the insurance, the promotions, and all this kind of stuff. It all adds up. All adds up. Quite how much it would have all come to, what the net bill was, no idea. But 40,000 pay-per-view buys in America, yes, okay, it was in the mid-afternoon or late afternoon, whatever it was, US time. Of course, he was never going to do that great. But the undercard was shocking. It was bad here in the UK, and they're UK fighters, and we're looking at that going, Frank, this is your opportunity here to show the world that you are the promoter. You're back on top. You've got Wembley Stadium, 94,000. Just put on an event, but he didn't do it. He put on a small hall version of an undercard. That's what he done. That's what he done. No Americans on the undercard. So of course America are not going to be interested. Americans don't see Tyson Fury as his superstar. He's not. A superstar is Canelo Alvarez. A superstar is Anthony Joshua. A superstar is not Tyson Fury. Yes, Tyson Fury did decent numbers against Deontay Wilder. He did. Especially in the second fight, it was decent numbers. First one, that was piss poor. The rematch was pretty good. Was it 850,000 pay-per-view buys, which is very good. And the rematch, was it 650,000 or something like that, 600,000? So not bad, not bad. But again, that's because he's fighting an American in America. When he's not fighting an American, he's not a superstar. Superstars sell with or without their opponent. Here in the UK, it's a big fight. Why? Because he was fighting Dillian Whyte, that's why. If he'd have fought Robert Helenius or a rematch with Otto Wallin, he wouldn't have sold out Wembley Stadium. Not at all. Anyway, it is what it is. What can you do? 40,000 pay-per-view buys on ESPN. Awful. Drop your thoughts below, click thumbs up, subscribe. Catch you on the next video.